That breaking news at 11. The man linked to the deadly shooting at a Portland protest has reportedly been shot and killed by police. Thanks for joining us. Details are still coming out tonight about how this all went down. Let's get right to KGW's Mike Benner. He's live in downtown Portland with the latest. Mike, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Laurel, good evening. We're at Southwest 3rd and Alder. This is where Aaron Danielson was shot and killed over the weekend. Many news outlets identified Michael Reinoehl as the shooter, and we're learning tonight Reinoehl is now dead. According to the New York Times, Reinoehl died during an encounter with police in Lacey, Washington. That is 2 hours north of Portland, about an hour southwest of Seattle. The New York Times is reporting that earlier today, Portland police issued an arrest warrant for Reinoehl. The Federal Fugitive Task Force tracked him down to an apartment. Reinoehl came outside, and according to the Olympia newspaper, there was an exchange of gunfire. Listen to this. Witnesses recall hearing 40 to 50 shots. Reinoehl was ultimately killed. Again, this is all connected to a deadly shooting in Portland over the weekend. Tensions were running high as a pro-Trump caravan rolled through the downtown core. As things were wrapping up, Aaron Danielson, a supporter of the right-wing group Patriot Prayer, was gunned down near Southwest 3rd and Alder. Reinoehl, believed to be part of the Black Lives Matter movement, was reportedly under investigation for the shooting. In an exclusive interview with Vice News, Reinoehl admitted to shooting Danielson, but he says it was in self-defense. Listen.
I had no choice. I mean, I had a choice. I could have sat there and watched them kill a friend of mine of color, but I wasn't going to do that.
All right, it's important to point out that Reinoehl, in that interview, did not mention what made him feel like his life was in danger. As far as what happened up in Washington tonight, we should learn a lot more in the coming hours, so be sure to tune in to KGW News at sunrise tomorrow morning, as well as KGW.com. Laurel?
Certainly a stunning turn of events. And Mike, we do have more right now. As you heard Mike say, this arrest was made near Lacey, Washington. Ted Land with our sister station in Seattle was just briefed by authorities and has the latest from there.
Here's what we know in Thurston County tonight. A law enforcement apprehension team made up of various agencies was on this scene at an apartment complex here just outside Lacey all afternoon doing surveillance on a suspect who was wanted for homicide. The authorities here describe him as a male in his 40s. They were watching him, and they say that at one point that suspect exited one of these apartments, walked out to a vehicle, and they believe he was armed. They say he had some kind of confrontation with the officers on scene, and 4 members of this apprehension team fired on that man and killed him. The Thurston County Sheriff's Office, which is the lead investigative agency on this officer-involved shooting tonight, is not identifying the person who was killed here on scene, just saying he was a male in his 40s wanted for homicide. However, multiple national media outlets are reporting that suspect is Michael Reinoehl, the man reportedly being investigated in the shooting death of a Trump supporter during a protest in Portland on Saturday. This is still a very active scene here tonight with multiple law enforcement agencies on scene, including federal agents who are now interviewing all of the people in this apartment complex, trying to figure out what happened in those chaotic seconds and moments when they say a man left one of these apartments, walked out to a car, and there was some kind of confrontation with officers, which ended in them shooting and killing that suspect. That's the latest here in Thurston County, Washington. Ted Land, KGW News.